Hey guys, welcome to Recraft Relic channel and I hope you are doing well. So today I'm here again with a new live coding session and today we are going to build a music app in VueJS. Alright, so let's get started. I already have a dummy VueJS project here and let me start it. Yarn serve. Right, so the project is getting started and it will open in the port, I think localhost 8081. So let us start. It will be localhost 8081, right? So I have this dummy app. Now let's start building our music application. If you already have seen the posters and the images that I have put you'll know that we're basically going to build a list and then we are going to build a player. Firstly there will be a song list and there will be a player. So first and foremost we're going to create the list component. So let's start by creating a component. So inside the component folder we'll create song list.vue and we'll start building this component. So we have a template, we have a div which will be the list, and then we'll basically export this. So export default name of the component will be song list, and yeah, let's import it and see how it works. So I'm going to go here, import song list from dot slash components slash song list dot vue song list components song list, and then we are going to use the song list inside here. Okay, so yeah, we imported a song list, but it doesn't show anything because we are we haven't have anything here. So if I type song list, there is song list. One other thing is that we are going to use Tailwind CSS for our styling, which I already have included in my index.html. So this is basically the link to Tailwind CSS. It is CDN hosted. I'll also put this link in the description if you are not able to get it. So now let's start by styling our app. So first and foremost, I want to style the the container, the app container. So let's start that by giving this class. So I'm going to give it like app a class of app container. I'm going to give it bit padding, and I'm going to use Tailwind class BG black to give it background black. So you can see the black background here. The other thing that I want to do is I want to give it static width and height. So for that I will use CSS. So app container, and its width will be 350 pixel, and the height will be 700 pixel, right? So something like this, but I want it to be centered. So for that I will give it margin auto, or I can just go here and say M auto, because Tailwind already have a class for that. So now we have this vertical looking application, and this is the look that we are going for. So this is our app. So now let's go inside song list and create a list. All right. So we have to create. So I'm going to create a dummy list, for the list of the song that we are going to display. And and in the list, every song will have its name, its its album image, album name, year, artist, and so on. So let's define that. I'm going to define that inside the local state, which is inside the data. So data return list, and inside the list there will be objects. So I have a dummy list already here, which I'm just going to copy and paste. I'll paste this list in the descriptions as well if you need it. So where it go? Okay, right, so I'm just going to paste it. So as you can see, every song have a ID for, you know, a unique identifier. Then there is name, the artist name, the album, the year where when the song was launched, source. This is basically the album image that we are going to show, and then there this is the song source. So all of these files are like hosted on the internet, so they are not local files. And these this is just Unsplash. So I'm using Unsplash API to generate random images for the album, as you can see here. So we have our list. Let's try to render it. Okay. Let's remove this for now, and let's start, right? So we'll create a div, and we will map it using v4. So v4 song in list, right? And the key will be vbind key, not like this. Vbind key will be song.id, right? And we are going to just render the song name. Okay, so let's just do that. Render the song name, song.name. Okay, song.name, save it. We are not able to see it because you know, it's in black. So let's give our song, you know, a bit color, like the text color. So I'm just going to go with color equal to, let's give it yellow, text yellow, maybe 300. So not color, it should be class name, right? So class name, class, as you can see, so text yellow 300 basically is a Tailwind class. I'll link the documentation of Tailwind in the description, so you guys can go and have a look. So text yellow 300, and this looks good. Let's, instead of p, use spans because they are like much more less bloated. So span, right? What else I want to show is the, you know, the artist name, the album name, and the year, which will be in the next line. So I'm just going to say span, right? Span, I'm going to say song dot artist name, right? Artist name, and then the song dot album name, right? Song dot album name, and then you know, the year with when the song was launched. So song dot year basically, and let's see how that pan out. Again, you know, the color we have to give it, so I'm going to give it a bit different color. So I'm just going to give it gray, text gray 200, let's say, right? And you can see, you know, all of these, but I want them in the next line, so I'm just going to you know, br it. So I'm just going to put a break line. Okay, so I'm just going to put a break line, but all right, this looks good. But what I want to do is I want to you know, like decrease the font size so the name is more prominent. So let's do that. So I'm just going to do text access to decrease the font size, right? And what I want to do is I want to differentiate between the artist name and the, you know, and the album. So what I am basically going to do is I'm going to like change color, I guess. Let's keep it in a new line here as well. So what I'm going to do is span, span, I'm going to paste it, and then class will be text gray 400. Let's see how that works. Yeah, so you can see, this is more prominent now, and this is not that prominent, and I'm going to put the year in the bracket, to make it clear that it's like the launch year, right? Okay, so now this looks good. The other thing that I want to do is I want to put the image, this album image here. So let's do that. So I'm going to put everything, all of this inside a div, right? Okay, and then I'm going to put another div here which will hold my image. So image src, will give that in a bit. So src, yeah, there. Okay, src. So we have to bind the src because we are going to use like a a variable from the state, a JavaScript expression. So we have to bind it. So we bind the source, and then we say song.src, right? This should work. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Reload the app. Okay, you can see the images, but yeah, this is not how we want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some constraint here, give it width and height. So I'm going to use Tailwind class here. So class equal to for height and width. So I'm just going to give it a max height of 12. Right, so it will basically trim down to this size, and then I'm going to make it rounded, to have nice, rounded corners. And now I want it to be here. So for that, what I'm going to do is this div, which is mapping. I'm just going to refactor it a bit, one sec. So this div, I'm going to give it a display flex. So class equal to flex row. All of these is Tailwind classes, and Tailwind and make it very much easier to style your application without writing any custom CSS. So that's great. Flex row, and then justify between. So basically what will happen, as you can see, that I told the I told the div that using the Tailwind class names, I told that this div will have a flex display, and because it's have a flex display, we can just render everything in a row. That's why I given the class name flex row, and then I said that put the space between, justify space between the between both of the elements, so that everything goes left, extreme left or right. So I just use justify between, but there is no space in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide some margin to the bottom. Let's say maybe 4. Yeah, and this is another Tailwind class MB4, which is like margin bottom to the 4th degree. So this is it. So yeah, our list looks good, but I'm not able to, like, when I hover it, the cursor is not changing. So for that, I'm just going to say cursor pointer, another Tailwind class cursor pointer, and now you can see my cursor is being there. The other thing that I want to do is I want to put a title at the top, which will say VueJS music application or VueJS music app. So for that, I'm just going to go here, create a div, right? I'm going to create a div and just write VueJS music app, right? Save it. It will not be will show here because it's in black. So first let's give it some color. So I'm going to go with the theme color, which is yellow. So text yellow 300. So I want to make it bold, so font bold, another Tailwind class, font bold. Right, now I want it to be in the center, text center, and I want its font size to be a bit bigger. So I'm going to use text 3 XL, to make it bigger, and then I'm going to give it some margin. So from margin I can give like maybe 4, and from top let's give it to maybe 3, right? So yeah, so you can see the music app. Maybe I can give more margin from the bottom. It's not looking that good. 6, right? Or maybe 7. I think that is much better. Yeah, so this is basically the our list, right? Now let's build our player, which will be the next screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a variable in the state which will control when to show the list and when to show the player. So if a song is selected, we'll show the player. If it is not, then we'll show the this list. So I'm going to take a new variable called is player visible, which is false by default, and I'm going to hide this container when not is playing visible. All right, so when is playing is not visible, then it will show, which is by default false. So if I reload the application, it will show me the the container. But if I make it true, reload the application again, is player visible? Is playing visible? Yeah. So now if I reload it, so you can see the application, the list is being hidden. So for now, let's just make it false. Now the next thing that we have to do is we have to create another component, which is the player component. So let's create another div here, and we'll only show this when the is player visible is true. This will be song player, right? And I'm going to import this, I'm going to create a component here first, song player.vue, right? And then I'm going to import it, import song player from /song player.vue, right? And then I'm going to register that component, components, and then use it, which is already being used. But I'm going to go inside the song player. I'm going to create a template, just say div, and just say player script, right? Script export default, name will be song player, and then I'm just going to use it, which I'm already using. So let's make this false, true, and let's see if that works. Yeah, you can see the component being rendered here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building this component. The UI will be simple. We'll have a back button here. The image of the album will be here. There will be the name, artist name, album name, and the year, and then there will be our controls. Okay, So let's start by creating our back button. I'll just here. So what I'm going to do here is a simple div, right? A simple div, and inside that div there will be a button. Which will have the text back, and basically on its click, the element will go back, like the UI will go back, right? Obviously this the color of the text we have to change. So class equal to text white. So let's just see if it works. Yeah, you can see the back button, right? Next thing I want to do is I want to show the app name here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to create a div, say VueJS music app, and yeah, but I want to render it like there. So I'm just going to give it the same CSS, same feel as the previous title, which will be text yellow 300 font bold. I don't want the title to be too big, so I'm just going to give it text 1XL, right? And this will be font bold, right? And the next thing I want is to render it in the front. So to the parent I will give flex row and the justify between, right? And it will move the VueJS music app to the top in the front basically. So now we have our header. Now let's go and build our center where we will display the album and everything. So we have the div. Now let's show our image here. We have to bind the the src. We'll get to that in a second. So in order to pass this song from that parent component to here, we have to use props. But let's just do this for now. And now I have to define the prop basically, right? So let's go ahead and define our props. We already have that comma. Props will have the so I'm going to define the type prop song which have this type. So ID will be a number. ID will be a number, year will be a number, and everything else will be a string. Right? String, and a string, right? Great. So now we have our props defined. Now let's pass that prop from the parent component to here. So let's bind. We bind song. All right. So now we also have to define like what is the current song which is playing. For that, I'm also going to, keep a state variable called current song index, which is by default 0, right? So I'm going to pass that song here. So for that, I'm just going to do list current song index basically, right? And it should pass the the song to the, yeah, it do. So you can see. So let's do one thing. So if I change it to 1 and reload the page, so you will able to see a new image here, because the song index is basically changing. But for now, let's keep it 0. We'll get back to how we're going to click on any item and it will show here. We'll get to that in the later part, but for now let's just go with 0 and styler component. All right, so if I go inside song player, now this image, what I want to do in this image is I'm going to give it rounded borders. So class rounded, okay, I haven't yeah, so rounded, and I'm going to give it some margin top and bottom, right? So margin top will be 8 and then margin bottom will be 4. Let's go with the 4. And yeah, you can see it's sliding down, so that's great. Now let's let's see how our title and everything will show up. So we'll define another div for that, right? And then I'll define my items basically. So p class equal to class equal to text yellow and 300, and basically the item will be the song dot name, right? Song dot name, and then you can see that there. Then we'll show this song dot artist name with the album name. So I'm just going to do it something like this: song dot album name, and then song dot year at the last, right? So let's go with that. And the other thing that I want to do is I want to give them different colors, so to differentiate between them. So let's do one thing. Let's give it gray, as same as we were doing in the list. So gray 200 and then gray 400. So let's do gray 200 and gray 400. And yeah, let's see. Okay, so this looks good. The other thing that I want to do is I want to keep them in the center. So basically class equal to text center. So that's good, text center. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so they are in the center now. Now this looks good. The next thing is that we want to build our controls, right? So yeah, I mean, this looks fine. One other thing that I want to do is I want to make this title bold, font bold. So song dot name, let's see. Yeah, I think it looks good. It's good to it's easier to differentiate between them. So let's now create another div here, which will basically be our controls div. And let's create 3 other divs. So for example, first div will be for the next icon, previous icon. The second will be for the play, and the third will be for the previous, for the next. So inside div there will be a button, right? A button. What I'm doing. So button which will be previous, then there will be a button for the play, then yeah, for the play, and then there will be for next, right? So previous, play, and next. The play button will have a different UI. I want it to be like look around a big round button. So let's do that. In order to do that, I'm going to give some classes to it. So let's see, class equal to, firstly and foremost, it will be rounded full, fully rounded. So rounded full, its BG color will be yellow, BG yellow, 300, same as the theme color. Then its height will be 24 and then width will be 24. So both of these are like the Tailwind classes. And then the text white doesn't look good, so text black. So let's see how that looks, right? And the last thing is font bold, because I want it to be bold. And yeah, so it's bold now, right? So now we have the play button and we have the bold, right? But they are not like, they are not in like the same line, so we have to put them in the same line. In order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Tailwind class called grid, class equal to grid, and I'm going to define that, this grid have 3 items. All right, so grid calls 3, so they should have equal width, and they will go like this. But now they are not like in the center and stuff. For that, to everyday we have to give a flex class. For example, flex, and we'll say item center, which is same as align item center, and then justify center, which is same as justify content center, justify center. So justify center, we are going to do the same thing with this div as well, and then this div as well. What happened? All right. Right, so let's see if that works. Okay, let's see. And yeah, you can see, it's in the center, the previous play next and all stuff. But there is no, margin between the ear and the control. So I'm just going to give it margin top 10 degree. So it will, come down. So now we have everything in place. All of our UI is looking good, right? But now what I want to do is I want to actually make the functionality working. So for that, first and foremost, I want to make this back button working. So once we click on this back button, it should go back. For that, I'm going to emit an event, which, I will listen at in the parent, and then, because the variable which controls the visibility of the player and the list will be controlled in the parent. The variable is in the parent, so I have to modify it there. So firstly and foremost, I'm going to define a methods, right? And I'm going to say go back will emit this dot dollar emit go back. Okay, and I'm going to register that emit as well in the, so if I don't do that, then it's going to give me a warning, so I don't want that. So go back, right? And in the song list component, I'm going to say at go back, right? At go back, just a second, guys, just a second. Sorry for that. So at go back, we'll just say is player visible equals to not is player visible. All right. So will that work? Let's see. I think this work because Vue supports, JS expressions like this. So let's see if that works. I'm just going to reload the application and let's see if that works. So on back click, nothing happens. All right, let me see why that's is player visible, right? I'm just okay. Let's me inspect if I'm doing anything wrong. Or is it, or if it is generating an error, right? I know what's the issue. So I always do this and it's kind of irritating. But I create everything, but I don't actually, bind the click events. So class, not class, v on click equal to go back. So it have to call the go back method, which I just defined. So I'm just going to close this, reload the, music app, let it load, and then click on back and it will go back. So what basically we did is whenever we click on the go back button, back button here, we'll emit the go back event. And we will listen for the go back event here and we'll just make it, is a player visible to, right? So now let's yeah, so now next thing what we have to do is whenever we click on this, we want the song to be selected and we have to open the player. So we'll do that by whenever, so we'll create a method here, methods, and the method will be play song, right? Play song, it will take the index and set the this dot current song index to be equal to that index and set this dot is play is player visible equals to true. All right. So yeah, and now I have to firstly foremost I'm going to make it false, right? Now in this in this loop what I'm going to do is I need the index, so what I'm going to do is v on click equal to v dot on click equal to play song, and we are going to pass the index, song index, but we don't have the index. So how are we going to do it? So for that what I'm going to do is v4 supports the index, so I'm just going to extract that from here, song index, and I'm just going to pass it over there. And yeah, I think it should work. Let's see. Cheap thrills, you can see cheap thrills, great. We'll go back, lean on, you can see the lean on, great. And you can even see the artwork, right? And I click on counting stars, so it says counting star, Adam Hart and stuff. And yeah, that seems good, that's working perfectly on the first try, so that is great. Now what we have to do is we have to actually make it play, right? Because it's not playing right now. Okay, the other thing we have to do is when we click on next and previous, it should switch the song. So let's implement that logic as well. So on next and previous click, I'm going to event event called next and previous. So let's just go here. Next, I have this bar here. So next, and it will emit next, and this will emit previous, and we need both this emit events here, next and previous, right? Now let's write listeners for them. So at next will play the previous, so play previous, not previous, man, it will be next, right? Next, and then at previous it will be play previous, all right. Then in the methods we are going to define both of these. So basically what we are going to do is, when there is play next, we are going to do this dot current sort index plus equal to 1. So basically we'll increase the index by 1, right? And we don't need this, I guess, because it's already visible if when the previous and next has been clicked. Same goes for here, and same here. I'm just going to do a -1 and not the index, it will be 1, right? So I'm just going to remove both of these, we don't need them. Okay, but duplicate play song, where is, okay, play previous, it should be play previous, right? So it will be play previous. Okay, so now let's see if that works. So I go to cheap thrills, I click on next. Nothing happens because I'm not registering the on click events, right? That is the issue. That is very irritating. I always forget about this. So click equal to, it should say next, and then previous. Click should v on click, not v on click, should be previous, right? Okay, now let's see. If I click on next, it goes to lean on. If I click on next, it goes to counting stars, great. If I go to previous, it go to lean on. If I go to cheap like previous, then it goes to cheap through. But there is one issue. If I go one more back, then it's going to throw an error in the console. So, but it will not go like forward, because there is no song before cheap thrills, because it's the 0th element, right? And same when we hit the row here, for example, lean on, click on next, it will go to counting star, but if I click on next again, then it will not change. So what I want to do is I want them to like rotate again. So for example, if I click on next, it should go back again to to cheap thrills, basically, right? For that, I'm going to put the logic in here, songlist.view. So for example, in previous, we're going to say if this dot current song index not equal to 0. So if it's not 0, then do a -1. But if it's just 0, then set the this dot current song index equal to this dot list dot length -1. So for example, what I'm going to do is, if there are like 3 elements, then the length will return 3, then I -1, then I get to the second element. So 0, 1, 2. 2 is like the last element, so if we are at the first element and we click previous, then it should go to the last element, basically. So let's see if that works. Reload the application. I really like the Unsplash API because it gives me random images, again and again. So that's really cool, to use in demo applications. As you can see, it has new images. So I click on lean on, I click on previous, then again I click on previous, then go to counting spares, lean on, and then it just keep going, right? But still, play next doesn't work as we want it to. So for play next, we're going to put a condition. Damn, what I did. If this dot current song index is smaller than this dot list dot length -1, till then you can do a +1, else you'll set the current index to 0. So one sec, what happened? Oh, this is fine. I think it's just being slow, I guess. Yeah. So if this dot current song index this is less than -1 means, for example, if we have 3 elements and we are at the second index, 3 minus will be 2. If it's smaller than 2, then you can +1. But if it's equal to 2 or greater than 2, then you have to go to the first song, which is the current song index, right? So let's see if that works. We reload the app. Our images basically load, right? And I go to cheap thrills, I click on next. Spelling is wrong. So I go here, click on next, lean on, counting spares. I'm doing plus equal to here. It should be normal 0. Okay, so let's see if that works now. I go to lean on, click on next, click on next. Yeah, you just keep going. And if I click previous, it keeps going. Now, yeah, this works cool. I can go back, I can go counting spear, I can go back, I can go cheap thrills. Yeah, this worked great. So now the last bit is to actually make the player work by playing sound. So let's do that. For that, in the song player, we're going to have a audio player. So let's do that. Audio. So audio player, it will bind the source basically. So the source will be song.song src, right? And we'll preload it. So the song will preload, and we'll also autoplay it. So as soon as the component loads, the track will start, right? And we also need a ref. The reason we need a ref because we want to programmatically control play and pause. So for that we need the ref. So I'm just going to say audio player here, and I'm going to use that ref, right? So now the other thing that we want to do is we want to make it play or pause when the button, basically when we click on the play or pause button. But first let's see if this works on if this even works or not. So let's click on cheap thrills. Right, I think you are able to see able to hear my system sound. If I click on content tab, All right, so this works. That's great. But still, if we click on play, it will not work. But if we click on next, then it will change the song. So, you know, the next and the previous works, but the play and pause doesn't work. So let's, you know, define a play and pause. For that, I'm going to define two functions here, two new method. Or I can just do one method, which is like toggle play. And I can just say if, so the other thing that I have to keep track of is if the song is playing or not. So it will be if this oh, not this, I have to like define a data here, data return, not like this. So data return is playing. By default it will be true because when the component loads, by default the song is, you know, playing. So it's playing, and I'm going to say if this dot is playing and you click on the button, what happened? All right, I have to put a comma. So if toggle play, if this dot is playing, like the song is playing, then you have to pause the song. So this dot refs dot audio player dot play, not play, pause, because it's already playing, right? Or else you can play it and you have to change, you have to toggle the playing state. So if it's playing, then you have to pause it. If it's paused, then you have to play it. So is playing equal to not this dot is playing, basically, right? So I think this works good. Again, I think I'm forgetting to add the click event. So I'm going to add the click event here. V on click toggle play. So let's see if that works. I go here, reload the page. Right, and let's click on chip thrills. It's playing and it's paused now. Click again. Not working. Yeah, because this L is in capital. It should be in. So click on pause, play, pause, play, pause. I go next. Pause, play, pause. Right? So this works, but you can see the text is not changing, the play pause. So for that, I'm just going to put conditional text here. So if is playing, in that case, show pause, else do play. Right, let's see if that works. So I'm going to go back, reload the application. And I'll go here. Let's say pause, click on it, it says play, pause, play. Right, so yeah, I mean guys, that's pretty much it, right? So this works great. So if you're going to go here, reload the application, you already have the list of your song. You can click any of the, you know, images, not the images, the song, and then you can just click on next, you know, to play and pause it. So yeah, guys, this was a music app using Vue.js and Tailwind. Today's stream got a little bit, stressed out, but yeah, I mean, this, the output of that is good. I'll put everything in the description, what I have used and what, also the repo to this code. And yeah, till the next Saturday, have fun.